bedroom stories unwind.
See those juice boxes, y'all?
Gin and juice got that open mind. Hearts connect at 10:30. Every Saturday once again. Laughter's bright and tears are real. Nothing here we gotta conceal. Safe and sound right on this stage. Flip the script, turn the page. Red room talk, it's where we'll be. Sharing dreams and memories. Laugh and cry all night long. Gin and juice keeps us strong. No topics too wild, too taboo. In this space, we break right through. With every word, a bond we form. Warm like the sun after a storm. So take a seat, join the chatter. In this place, nothing else matters. Feel the vibe and let it flow. In the red room, love will grow. Red room talk, it's where we'll be. Sharing dreams and memories. Laugh and cry all night long. Gin and juice keeps us strong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Red Room Talk. You guys can find us here every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Jen. The Red Room Talk is a show about love, intimacy, and interpersonal relationships, including self, to erase different social stigmas. We are here to have candid discussions and cut through those stigmas to show that in the end, no matter your background, we all have commonalities when it comes to matters of the mind and the heart. Nothing is off the table in the Red Room Talk. Last episode, if you missed us, that's okay. You can find us on YouTube by clicking the link in my profile and subscribing. Last episode, we talked about dating roadblocks, but this week, we are changing the game, and I'm in the hot seat. Go ahead and take it over, CJ.
Welcome, everyone, to today's special episode of the Red Room Talk. The juice behind the gin. Today we're flipping the script and diving deep behind the scenes with Gin and Juice herself. A woman whose journey is nothing short of inspiring. Gin has faced unimaginable challenges, from battling health issues and overcoming obstacles, to coping with loss and stepping into new roles and responsibility. Yet, through it all, Gin, she has remained resilient, authentic, and empowered. Today, we're here to uncover the story behind the woman behind the screen. The raw, real, and unfiltered truth of her journey. Jen, thank you for trusting us to share your story. Are you ready to take us behind the scenes?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, let's get started then. We'll dive into our first question. So I know you've been on this platform for about a staggering 18 years before the live stream. Can you tell me what motivated you to start streaming back in 2018 and what your initial dreams or expectations were when you first hit the platform?
Well, actually, when I got on the platform, I didn't even get on here to stream. I got on here to date. And, yeah. My mom found love on here, so I was like, let me try this again. And I got on here, and I seen this live section and I was like, oh, what's this? And when I clicked on it and I seen all these people and I'm like, oh my God, it's like a chat room or something. And I started watching these lives and I'm like, what is this? And just like to see all these different personalities. But honestly, what motivated me to start streaming was I had met this streamer. His name at the time was Chase with the Badge. And he just had like this personality. Like everyone felt welcome. It didn't matter who you were. Like he made you feel like a somebody. And it really motivated me to be the streamer that I am, because I would go in there and I at the time I was just a supporter. I would watch videos and I would send, at the time it was the tequila shot gift. And I would watch 100 videos because at the time you got like 1,000 coins when you watched a video. Yeah. And so I would go drop him a bunch of tequila shots, and he would start singing a song and he'd be like, rolling on the live stream, throwing tequila shots. Look, it's gin and juice. And so, but he made me feel like I was dropping dragons. And so he really just made me feel like a somebody. And I really like took that to heart, and I wanted my stream to be like that, you know, if I ever decided I wanted to. But at the time I didn't feel like I had that kind of voice. Like, I'm like, man, I don't think I can do it. Like, I would get in boxes and I was still really shy. If you can believe it, I was very shy. Still am situationally. Yeah, I know. You know, but I had met all these cool people and they were like, man, you're so funny. You should get in the box. You should stream. And I wouldn't go live unless like my friend was in my box. Cause back then you only got one box. You didn't have the 4 other boxes. And so, you know, she would go live with me, and then that was kind of like her hideout because, you know, I was still new. And so, you know, I started streaming here and there, and then eventually it just became like a thing. Yeah. But when I met Chase, he made me want to be a top badge. He made me want to be the streamer I am now. I didn't want anybody to ever feel like they didn't have the voice like I had felt for so long. And so someone who gave me a voice, I wanted to give others that same feeling when they came into my life.
I like that a lot. For those of you that don't know who Chase is, he's no longer on the app, but you can catch him on TikTok occasionally. Mm-hmm. It is Chase with the beard. Yeah. So if y'all are curious who that person is, he's a real good dude.
Phenomenal.
He's one of the people that I met as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Phenomenal person. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Let's get into our next question. So as your audience grew, you faced some of your first personal challenges on the stream or in streaming. How did your health issues begin to intersect with your streaming career, and what kept you going during those tough times?
Well, anyone who doesn't know, I was dealing with a lot. You know, when I first started streaming, that's really what got me for real streaming. Like at first, you know, it was just a for fun thing, but I was always a caregiver. Like I was a caregiver for 15 years. And then when I fell sick, I was diagnosed with a brain disease. So I was also going through other things, but I was getting like spinal taps, like at least every other week or month. And so I was, you know, only streaming on and off, but I always kept going. Like I started my show. I did all of that through going through all of that. You know, I was going at the time I was getting tested for cancer. So I was going to the cancer center. I was going to all these different specialists trying to figure out what was going on with me. And so, honestly, what kept me going was all of you. The people that I met along the way, the people who understood what I was going through. Because even now to this day, a lot of people you might not notice, but the little things like I still have a prompter to this day. Even though I've been doing my show for 3 years, I still go off of a prompter to remember what I have to say. So there's things like that a lot of people don't know. But if you know me from the beginning, a lot of you do. But that's something that I still struggle with, you know, today is like remembering things. Or so if I ever forget something, it's never intentional. That's why if you always hear me, I'll be like, hey, you know who, set a reminder, or if I forget an event, like I try to remember everything. I want to be there for people like they are for me, but there's a lot of times that, I fall short, but it's never, like by intent. But yeah, so a lot of people don't notice, but you'll even notice the people around me, I'll be like, and I'll forget a word, but they kind of take up for me because they know, the things that I struggle with. So, but honestly, what kept me going was all of you. It was a time in my life I was very down in life. Like I wanted to give up, and I was like, man, but the stream is what kept me going. Like my brothers, like they could never understand, like, why is she always on her phone? Why is she always got to be on that stream? They couldn't understand. And finally one day my mom had looked to my brothers and she said, like, why are you always on her case? If this is something that she found that gives her like the light at the end of the tunnel, give her that. Like, if this is the one thing that keeps her going, like, just see that this is something that's good for her, and this is what she uses, and that's what keeps her going and makes her happy. And one thing that she always said that made her proud of me is that I always chose my own way, or made my own way. I never asked nobody for nothing. I always made my own way, and this was my way. When I lost the ability to take care of others and I was started to be the one that needed the care, I still took care of myself. It was never me asking anybody for anything, but I had a friend at the time that I was rooming with. A lot of people might know her still, but she very much helped me along in my streaming journey and, through my illness, in the very early stages. So, but it was y'all. It was y'all who kept me going.
And we're glad that you are still here.
Of course.
Still here. We love you very much. So, if you're just pulling up, that's all right. It's okay. We have so much more to find out. We're here I can't do what she do, but every Saturday. Yeah, there we go. On the Red Room Talk at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week we have the lovely host Jen in the hot seat to learn about the juice behind Jen. An inside look on the face of the Red Room Talk. So let's jump into our next question. In your time streaming on Tag, you have since earned your top badge and a featured show. What does that mean to you?
Honestly, as much as like I know the top badge is like such a coveted thing for people. Like people work years for it. But honestly, to me, my show was the bigger accomplishment. And it was not giving anything less to the badge. But to me, the show was honestly what kept me going even through my illness. Like I worked for it. I took years to develop it. Like it was my baby. And so even though I was going through surgeries, I would still show up my show, and people could never understand, like, girl, why are you not in bed? They're like, no, I got a show tonight, but it kept me going. It gave me a reason to keep going. And so when I finally got my show featured, because I'm going to be honest, like now, and this is no shot to anybody with a featured show, but it took me months to get my show featured. Like you couldn't just be like, hey, I want a feature show, and then boom, they give you one. No, I took months to develop it. I had to work alongside of them to get it down packed to where they would allow me to have it featured. So it took me a long time to even get it to that point, and I fought through a lot of like, stuff on the app as well, of people like jealousy and things like that, or like messiness to try to get to that, because nobody could understand why it was so important to me, but it was because that was my reason to keep going. So nobody ever understood why my show was so important to me, but it was because I didn't want anybody to ever feel like I did. I always felt alone in things, and I developed the show to bring people together. So I hear even in the beginning, we all have commonalities when it comes to the matter of the mind and heart, is to bring people together. Like no matter who you are, where you're from, we all have commonalities. So it was to bring people together. And so, when I finally got that, I mean, let's think about it. There's a million top badges, but only a certain few have their face going across the top of the app. So to me, it was way more prestigious. But of course, I was one of the first to get, the top, to get the featured show before a top badge. So once I got my top badge, it was almost like I already walked as a top badge. You know, having a feature show, it makes you more structured. And, you know, so I felt like I kind of already had stepped into the role of a top badge, because I always used to tell people, like, I'm already a top badge, it's just not there yet. You're just like, you know, they say dress for the job you want. And
Exactly.
so, you know, that's really what it meant to me. It was, I wanted to be a badge because not only did I have a role model like Chase, but I wanted to show everybody that not all top badges are the same. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard, you know, like, oh, I don't mess with top badges, or, oh, this top badge this, or this top badge that. But it was bigger to me. I wanted people to come in here and be like, man, I want to be a top badge. I wanted to be the Chase, but the Jen. You know, where people would come and be like, man, I want to be like her. Like, man, I didn't even know you was a top badge. If I'd have never seen that badge, I'd have never known. Because I just tried to make people feel like, you know, a somebody. There's times I have like a soundboard, and people would come in, they had their own sound. I don't use it as much anymore. You know, you get a little laxed after a while. But, you know, they would have their own entrance, or even people know now, like, I'll come in and they have their own little, you know, thing when they come in. And, like, Buki, I sing his little song to him. Like, everybody has their own thing that they know when they see me, you know, that it's just up. So, yep, and Ms. Wu, yep. But, yeah, it just meant to me that, you know, to show people that you don't have to be the same as everybody else, that you can stand apart by just being you.
So Jen had to come in and say, I'll walk it like I talk it.
Walk it
Walk it like I talk it. Exactly. So, we got another question.
Okay.
Now, this next one may be a little bit tough. Take your time. If you choke up a little bit, we're going to give you some time to answer. But would you be comfortable sharing the most challenging time you had to face publicly? Exactly. Take a deep breath. There you go. Get your little sip of water. There you go.
Not too shortly, right before actually I got my top badge, I had met someone on the app. We had gotten into a relationship, and it's actually a year ago tomorrow that since I've been gone. But we got into a relationship. It started out great, just like everyone, you know, thinks it's butterflies and rainbows. But as it goes, this is something where I tell everybody, don't ever covet anybody else's relationship, because what you see on the outside isn't always what's going on behind closed doors, you know. And for the longest time, even for me, I felt like a fraud, because I allowed so many people to believe in love, and their, you know, because we were honestly the face of the app at the time for love. Like, people believed in love, like, oh my God, you can find love on the app. And you can, don't get me wrong, just because of my story doesn't mean that you can't. But, you know, behind closed doors, it wasn't, you know, the case. You know, my family, I lied to my family, I lied to my friends, you know, that everything was beautiful and butterflies, and, you know, we had shows on here, so it all seemed to appear like, man, like, this is the couple to want to be, and that wasn't the truth. We had got engaged. Honestly, it was on stream and everything. We had got engaged. I had actually moved from the state that I'm in now, and moved to another state, and I left everything. Like, I had my own everything, didn't ask nobody for anything. Like, I had my own everything. And so, to be with that person, I had sold all my belongings, even had help from some of the people on stream to kind of get to where I was going, because it's states away, and I sold everything I owned to be with that person. One thing I'm going to tell you is, don't ever do that. One thing, a bit of advice, is to make sure that you got your own, even if you do go to another state. That way, you know, you always have your own back. I can say that now, looking back. But about a month after we got engaged, it became very abusive. And I hid it for a long time. It had started like literally a month after we got engaged. So we got engaged in October, started around November. And so on like 3 different occasions, it had gotten very physical. So I was dealing with that while also streaming and being in the public eye. So I had to lie a lot. You know, I'd be like, oh, we're going to take a week off. You know, we're going to just spend time together. You know, the whole time, you know, I'm covering my face with bruises and things like that, and kind of hiding that from people because I didn't want people to believe that about me. I felt like a liar because here I was protecting the person who was hurting me. And so, you know, going through that while also streaming, but I wasn't just lying to y'all. I was lying to my family. You know, my pop, you know, may he rest in peace, but he would call and be like, you know, why are you not in the camera? I'm like, oh, you know, my hair's just messed up, you know, and I just felt like a liar for a long time. The only person who really knew what was truly going on was Mistress. And she kind of kept me going, you know, during that time. But, you know, when it became too bad and I had to get out of there, it was a year ago tomorrow. That's kind of, you know, part of the story today. But I had made the choice to tell the truth. And I had made a call. I had made a call to Mistress, and I said, get a hold of Tinder, which is actually in the comments as well. They're both here to support me tonight. But I said, it's time. You know, I had held on for as long as I could, and I couldn't anymore. And I said, okay, it's time. I need to go now. I need to go right now. And I gathered up the few things I could grab in my hand, and my dog. My dog was first the thing that I grabbed. And I got out of there. And I ended up going, and my parents still didn't know at this time. You know, once I got to a safe place, I had called my pop and I just said, I'm coming home. You know, I can't really tell you much right now. And then you know, the person at the hotel that I had went to, they're like, you know, what do you want me to put? What name do you want me to put this under? And I said, I don't want you to put it under my name. And so my pop knew right then that something was wrong. And so I said, don't be alarmed. Like, I'll call you on my way home and, you know, tell you more. And so, you know, up to now that I don't know what else you want to know, but I got out of there.
We're gonna bypass that next question. So after leaving that situation, what was it like coming back to your community and your platform?
Honestly, at first I was really embarrassed because I hadn't told nobody still. Like, people didn't know why I was gone because I left for like over a month, almost 2 months. And then I started getting questions because, you know, they were talking, the person that did this was talking and posting things in like the tea groups and stuff. And I wasn't even going to say anything. I was basically letting them be scot-free. I didn't call the police. I just left, and I was going to let them just live their life without me. And then when it started getting ugly, I decided, you know what, enough is enough. And my mom had told me when I first got home and told them the truth, she said, just let them get enough rope to hang themselves. She's like, don't say a word. Let them say what they're going to say, and then tell your truth when it's time. And there was one particular day where I was like, it was again, you know, I was getting these messages like, why did you do this? Why did you did this and did that? And I'm like, whoa, this is not the truth. Like, this is getting out of hand. And I kept getting questioned, and it wasn't nobody's business. You know, it was mine. It was my truth to tell. And then it had gotten to a point where, you know, one of the pages was posting lies, and I was like, you know what? It's time. I didn't want to be a coward anymore, and I was like, enough is enough. I posted, you know, my truth, and I said, okay. I posted it for 8 hours, and then I took it down, and I said, okay, now I want my peace. I've given you what you guys asked for. I told my truth, and enough is enough. And but to come back at first, honestly, I was really afraid, you know, that people were going to come for me. And some did, you know. Honestly, I think that was probably the saddest thing to me, was to even see other women, you know, even like call me a liar or these things, even though I had shown the black and white truth of, you know, what the story was. But, people are always going to choose a side, and that was okay with me. But if you're going to pick the other side, then stay yourself over there. So I just held my head as high as I could, because there was nothing they could do to me anymore. I was out of that situation. So the only thing they could do was post lies or say words. There was nothing. They couldn't hurt me anymore. They couldn't put their hands on me. So there was nothing at that point I felt like I had to lose. Like, if I lost this, or people around me, or anything people said about me, it didn't really move me, because I know my truth. For me, like, at that point when I told my truth, it was enough. And so I felt like at that point, it was almost like, if you've ever seen Eminem's, 8 Mile, at the part where it comes down to, like, it's his turn, and he basically roasts himself. Like, at that point, I was so transparent. There was like, you couldn't hurt me with my own trauma. You couldn't hurt me with my own truth, because I'm telling it myself. And so, honestly though, I think what was most surprising was not even just the negative comments from people, or the negative part of it, but was the positivity that I got from the platform. The people who had my back, or the people who messaged me that I never would have thought in a million years would have, supported me after that. I was so afraid, because I felt like such a liar at that time, that I had held on to that truth about what had happened. But it was the support that really surprised me. And that was honestly what kind of kept me going to keep streaming, because I was honestly at a point where I wanted to quit streaming. I was so nervous. So.
Well, we appreciate you for still staying in there and remaining who you are, and always being Jen with the juice. You can take a breath now. You got a little, you can take a breath. You can take a drink of water. There you go. Get your big dope, whatever. If you're just pulling up, that's okay. We have so much more to come. Find us here every
Saturday.
There we go. On the Red Room Talk at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, we have the host in the hot seat. Stay tuned to hear the gin behind the juice. An inside look on the face of the Red Room Talk. Now, if it wasn't already hot enough in here, especially for Jen, it's now the hot seat question time. We asked Instagram to ask a question for this week's hot seat question. If you want your question to be featured on a future episode, look for that hot seat question post on Jen's Instagram. This one question stood out this week. Mistress Strawberry wrote in to ask, in the future, would you ever be as open in putting your partner in the spotlight again? I can answer that for her easily.
Oh my God. I hate you, but I love you, mistress. I mean,
You can throw that one in the garbage.
I'm gonna be honest. For me, anyone who I've like had that talk with, like, I'm not gonna say I would want anybody to be a secret, but because of as bad as it was publicly, with my last relationship, I would want a little more anonymity. And I don't mean like keep them a secret, but also keep it private. Now at some point, obviously, if I get into a relationship, like, and I see that it is what it is, and that person proves themselves, and I'm not saying like, oh my God, you have to prove actually, no, you do have to prove yourself to me. I almost stepped back for no, you have to prove yourself to me. But when you show me that you are the person that you say you are, because a lot of people put on this facade or this mask, and I'm a very, obviously, if you can't tell, a transparent person. And so, as long as, they show me that they are the person that I need, and I won't say want, because the person that I need, because often the things that we want are not the things that we need. So at some point, yes, but in the same capacity, probably not on this app anyways, because something I did learn and going through that was, I'm going to be honest, on this platform, as much as people say that, they don't love to see people happy, even though I wasn't truly happy, but just the facade of appearing to be happy. Oh, people were not always supportive. Like, I could tell you the support changes, the jealousy or envy of that, even though it was nothing to be envious over. But it taught me something, that people don't like to see people happy on here. And it's not even just for relationships, but when someone accomplishes something, they have this secret envy, you know. And my mom always taught me in life, not even just in like your romantic relationships, but friendships. You should never be friends or be in a relationship with someone who is jealous over you. And so, in the short,
Yeah, I was.
in the short, I would say, not just a blanket no, but it would there would be a fine line between a yes or a no, because they would have to check
Checklist.
off a lot. See, you on the same page, but they would have to, you know, fulfill that checklist for me before I would ever even probably tell my mother, you know, or to introduce them to anybody. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing I could tell you now. Thank God that my pop isn't here anymore, because you would have heck to pay as far as you know, to prove yourself. So it's not just me, you know. My brother, I have 3 brothers. I'm the only girl, you know. So they're not, you know, gonna probably be very. I won't say they would be nice, obviously, but they're gonna be pretty hard on whoever tries to fill those shoes as far as being my partner. So, you know, they would not only have to prove themselves to me, but, you know, also the people around me would definitely probably be a little more under a, you know, microscope.
I don't know. Pop kept that thing on him in his pocket, so you know
Yeah,
you
well,
gonna
they're
have to
lucky.
you have to
Whoever is very
pass.
lucky he's not
Yeah,
here, because he
I know y'all remember
definitely.
that scene. Y'all remember that scene off of Players Club when Jamie Foxx was talking to the daddy in the backyard.
Yeah,
You want
that
to
was
talk to
definitely
my
pop.
daughter about this? Anyways, moving forward. So, we're moving to the next question. After a short few months after returning home, losing your stepdad was a significant and heartbreaking moment. We all know that. How did his passing affect you as a streamer? And blah, blah. What role did your community or personal resilience play during that period? Take your time. I already know. He's
Well,
gonna give you the power to say what you gotta say right now. You know that.
um, you know, Father's Day is here, and the year of being home, and I think it affected me not only as a streamer, but it obviously as a woman and as a human. But on the streaming side, it affected me because at the time, if anyone knows, like, I had stopped doing my shows, and I had taken a break as much as I could to step away from the stream. Because, like, yes, I you know, I've lost people in my life, but nobody like him. You know, he was my ace boon, my best friend, you know, and not only that, but my dad. And even though, yes, he was my stepdad, but I whole loved him. You know, I didn't even consider him my stepdad. You
Your
know, he was
bodyguard.
kind of my pillar of strength. You know, he's the one who got me through a lot of those times while I was away, we'll say. Even on the hardest days, you know, I used to call upon him to call them, to calm them down, or, you know, things like that. Or even when I was having a bad day, you know, he would start cleaning his
That
cleaning his
thing on him.
piece, you know, every time he get mad, you know. So I miss those
Peace be
moments of,
still.
you know, it kind of took away my safe feeling or my safe space, you know, because, you know, I called upon him for pretty much everything. And I think it kind of put me in a place of not knowing myself again, because I realized after his passing now, like, how much he really did, you know. there's little things like even like reaching the top shelf. I'm only 5'4", you know, so he was 6'4", you know, he would do even little things like that. Or, you know, he was, even just someone to make me laugh. And I remember I used to get so upset. Sometimes he would come in here and just, you know, josh around and like, Pop, it's so. But now I miss those things. You know, I miss him coming in and, you know, talking junk or sitting next to me while you played music or whatever, because he was my person, you know. It's, what role did your community of personal resilience play during that period? Honestly, it was probably everything. The people around me, and she just popped in, but I remember the day when he had finally passed, and because he was in the hospital for a few days on life support. And I remember when he passed, she ended up helping rally people around to come help me so I could have my, you know, 80K for the week, so I could take, you know, some time off the stream to kind of grieve. And even though I feel like I still haven't gotten to fully grieve, because, you know, I have my mom around me and, you know, even my brother, and that I kind of put my grief in the back pocket. But I needed that time away from here because I couldn't, you know, give myself fully to everybody socially. And I feel like when you're like that or you're having those kind of moments, you should remove yourself, because, you know, I'm not going to give the people what they know Jen and Juice is. And so, honestly, to have the people behind me who checked on me or called me, and for me, I'm kind of one of those people that when I'm going through something, I kind of back up. But even though I didn't always answer the phone or didn't always want to talk, but just, you know, the messages saying like, hey, we're here for you, like, you know, just checking in on you, that meant a lot to me. And it really kept me going during that time, because like I said, I really wanted to give up. I had taken a step back from the show. I wanted to give up the show, but it was kind of, you know, the support of everybody, like, when's the show coming back, you know, like, knowing that, you know, people would come into me saying, like, the show helped them. The show, you know, for them was bigger than just a talk show. It was something that, you know, helped them feel not alone. And so, to even help me kind of step back into this role as the host, and to kind of bring it back, and even, you know, changing faces of, you know, coming in and out, but to hear other people's stories even helped me in my grief. And I actually did a show about grief where my own mother, you know, came on as a guest, really kind of helped me step back into this role. So it was really a lot, all of you.
And we truly appreciate you. I know you know I've said this to you before, but he's not gone. He right there with you. He always gives you the power to say what you gotta say. So always remember that. So we're gonna move on to our next question. In the midst of all of these challenges that you have had, you've taken on the role as a second mother to your autistic brother. How has that responsibility influenced your perspective on family, love, and sacrifice?
Honestly, I think it's probably been the one thing that has kept me going. Because I know if anybody, like, can give up, like, I can't, because he gonna be hungry, okay, probably in about another 10 minutes again. So, you know, but when you have, you know, a kid he's such a joy. Like, he's not a bad kid. He'd do anything you tell him. Like, he's just a real, just loving child. And, you know, to see him, you know, it's not just me that had the loss, but, you know, he's also lost his mother. And so knowing, you know, that even when we first got custody of him, because we had got custody of him when he was, I think it was 8 years old. He had just turned 9 the day after, but 8 years old. You know, he had lost his mom, so Pop ended up getting custody of him. And I was also another, you know, a third parent back then. You know, I had taken on, you know, said that I was there. I was going to be a part of the team. And though there was, you know, years that I had, you know, kind of been on my own, but I still very much was a pillar for him, because I was the one of the first people that he met. Like, I was there the day, like, it was just Pop and I had drove states away to pick him up, so I was like the first thing that he knew. And after Pop passed, we asked him the question, like, who do you want to be with? And he's like, you and Jen, speaking of my mother and I, you and Jen. So he already spoke where he wanted to be. And so knowing that, it just kind of fueled me like, okay, I got to keep going for him. Like, it wasn't just me that I had to worry about anymore. It was, watching over not only but him, but also, I felt like my mother, because she's grieving a grief that I've never experienced. I've grieved the loss of, my father and such, but to lose a love of your life, or as a child to lose your father is different than being, I think, even an adult. So I knew that it was a motivation to keep going. But for me is like, for the perspective on family, how is it influenced? Like, a family isn't always going to look the same for everybody. Like I said, my stepdad, I don't look at it like as my stepdad. And I, even though he's not even my blood brother, I still look at him as he is my brother, So I think my perspective on that's kind of never differed, having, because I have a half sibling, so I never looked at that any differently. But the sacrifice, I think, was a lot different because I only really ever had to worry about myself or my dog. So it honestly kept me kind of focused on what my goal was, or, the thought of keep going, because I can't lay down. I can't lay down and stay there, because there's days that I didn't want to get out of bed, or I don't want to get on here. Thank you. So on those days when I, have those bad days where I just want to lay there and not get up, he's going to peek his head in the door because he's hungry. So he's going to remind me of why I got to keep going. But definitely,
this food ain't going to cook yourself.
Even like what Strawberry just said, like, people like, well, do you ever get, like, they ask me to go on vacations and trips and they don't understand, or even, in dating, like, men probably, it's harder for me to even think about, dating or any of those things, because I have him to think about, even though I don't have a child of my own, but I've taken on him as, as a second parent. So I have to think about him first before I think about my own, needs. But yep, she's right. I have a trip coming up, and I couldn't just, even though people are like, well, you don't have any kids. Yeah, I do. It's just not mine, because he is my responsibility. So we had it months in advance, set up for my sister to come here so I can go take this few days to have to myself. And, shout out to my sister for making that sacrifice for me herself, because she could have done anything on that weekend. So, I'm thankful even to have my sister who loves me enough to come, give me that break. Because one thing I know, even though, yes, I took that on, but I do also deserve a break too.
Of course.
So.
Always. Well, we do want to say this. Next week is going to be like, you leave out. So enjoy that trip. Wish you nothing but much fun and refreshment.
Yes, I'm excited. So excited.
She's so excited. If you're just pulling up, that's okay. We have so much more to come. Find us here every
Saturday.
Thank you. On the Red Room Talk at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week we have the host in the hot seat. Stay tuned to hear the gin behind the juice behind the gin. I said the juice, gin behind the juice. That was backwards. As we take a look on the inside, on the face of the Red Room Talk. So, we just have a few more questions left. This next question, being so open about your life on a public platform, how do you manage the vulnerability of sharing your struggles while maintaining your mental health? How has it changed your relationship with your audience and yourself? So how do you manage that vulnerability of sharing your struggles while maintaining your mental health?
Um, Honestly, I feel like I said earlier, for me, it's kind of like Eminem in 8 Mile. If I tell it myself, nobody else can tell my story. So I'm going to tell you the real truth, no filter, raw, however you want to look at it. Even though, yeah, it's hard sometimes to share your struggles, but for me, it's needed because I feel like it shows people that, you know, we're all not AI behind these phones. We're not AI behind these phones. I think people are desensitized and they think like, oh, she's just a robot, or like I'm just this AI person that, can just keep going and going and going. But I think for me, the reason why I show my struggles is to show people that we are very human, just like everyone else behind these cameras. Because, there's a sense of celebrity that comes along with the badge and the favorites and all those things. And I think people get mixed up and they feel like we're like superhuman. No, I'm a human. I go through things just like everyone else. I put my pants on the same way, left leg, right leg, pull them up. So I think that honestly it helps me just as much because then it helps people be more easily relatable, to show them that I'm very human and I'm not just this, you know, person on some pedestal. I very much I show it all. I don't just show the good parts, because at that time, especially going with what I went through, and I tried to only show those good parts, it didn't do me any good. I would rather show my truth. I would rather show my struggles. And so people will understand that I am just like them, human. I bleed red, all those things. But how has it changed my relationship with my audience? I think it brought us closer together. Because, like I said, it showed them that I'm just a human. I'm not, oh my God, top bad shit. But I'm Jen and Juice, okay? You don't have to say the rest of it. I'm just like everybody else on here. I never felt like that made me anything above anybody or made me anything superior. I just feel like it's okay to be vulnerable, because someone out there might need to hear that. Just like even tonight, to show them that even though it's a scary thing, I think that if I, even with telling my story, can help one person get out of that situation or in situations that I've been in, then I've done something. I always say, and I've been saying it for years since being on this platform, the one thing I always wanted was to be that one pebble that causes a ripple that creates a wave. And if I have to be vulnerable to do that, then so be it.
That's what I'm talking about. Big wheels keep on turning.
Yeah.
But we do want to ask one more question. And this one helps everyone out there who may come to your live and experience who Gin and Juice is. What message would you like to share with others who might be going through similar struggles? You just mentioned that. And what are your hopes for your future, both personally and professionally?
I think if I could share a message with others that, may be experiencing similar struggles, whether it's with your health or even domestic violence or even grief and loss, it would be this. You're not alone. Your feelings are valid. And know that healing isn't linear. It takes time. And it's okay to grieve however it is that you need to grieve, and whatever loss or capacity that is. And also to be gentle with yourself, and it's okay to prioritize you, because I've always been like a very selfless person and always kind of put myself last, but it is okay to prioritize yourself and your well-being. And if I could say, sitting here almost exactly 1 year later, not knowing if I was going to make it out. That no matter how dark the moment may seem, hope and resilience can take you to brighter days, because there was times I didn't think I was going to make it out. And so to sit here and to be able to tell this story, the only thing I can tell you is God is real. I might not have been here to tell this story. So the fact that I am sitting here, I think to me is just showing that there's light at the end of the tunnel, even if you think there's not. But regarding hopes for the future, personally and professionally, I aspire to build a life rooted in strength, compassion, and growth. And personally, I hope to find the peace, happiness, and a meaningful connection that nurtures my spirit as a person. But professionally, I want to use my experiences to support and uplift the people around me. The people who are viewers, like to be not just a content creator, but an actual influencer. But I also do, and I've started actually the journey of advocacy. I've actually been on national television to talk about women of domestic violence, and to have a voice for the people who don't have a voice or no longer have a voice. So that's something that I've been working on behind the scenes with the local YWCA here. But also to inspire others, I think, who need it the most, the people who don't have the voice. That's, I think, really what all I ever wanted, like I said, to be that small pebble that causes the ripple that creates the wave. I want to be the pebble.
That's wonderful. I know that was a lot. Yeah, get you a little drink of water. There you go. So to end on a positive note, out of all the things that you've had to go through, out of all the struggles, out of all the issues and everything, what has been the most rewarding thing with being a streamer?
All of y'all. I think the friendships and bonds that I've created that I never would have imagined, the twins, the besties, the wifeys, even the little annoying ones. But no, all of you who I've created bonds with, that's been the most rewarding part, is to have people like my extended family. It's not the family I was born with, but the family that I believe I created on this platform. I think that has honestly been the most rewarding part for me, because especially on a platform like this, you meet people from far and wide, other countries, other states, that I would have never had the opportunity to get to know. But honestly, I think the biggest thing for me as a streamer is even on days, and I swear it always comes on the days that I'm probably having the hardest time to be on here, is someone after a show saying I needed to hear that. Or even if I post on the clock app, you know what I'm talking about. I get the messages like, you inspired me, or it's time for me to go, or you gave me a voice to be able to speak my truth, or I kept going today because of you. And even though it's a burden at the same time, but it's also a release to know that somebody else needed to hear something that I've said, because for the longest time I felt like I didn't have a voice. And so I think that's been the most rewarding part, is the inspiration of others when I never felt like I had that kind of power.
That's beautiful. It really is. I know it takes a lot with everything that has went on, but We appreciate you very, very much. And we love you. Always remember that. So I want to say thank you for sharing your story so openly. Your resilience is inspiring. And I believe your journey will give strength to many other people that you come in contact with. This week we had Jen in the hot seat for the juice behind Jen, and an inside look on the face of the Red Room Talk. Thank you for letting me take over and step in your shoes for a moment, even though it's a little tongue twisting. But as we always, as always, we end with a healing positive quote. So this week's quote is: every challenge faced live on camera is a testament to resilience, showing that true strength isn't just in the victory, but in the courage to stand vulnerable, persevere, and inspire others along the way. Jen, we thank you. We love you. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take it over.
Well, y'all, if y'all are just pulling up, thank you, God, it's over. I'm sorry, y'all, it's over. But you guys can find us here every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Red Room Talk. But y'all, please do follow me on YouTube for all the past episodes. I will try to get up to date on all the episodes from the past couple months. Well, I'll say, yeah, past couple months. So I'll make sure I try to get those up to date in the next week or two. But if anybody has any questions in the comments, you guys can go ahead. We got a few minutes before I have to fully wrap it up, obviously, because the box will be down. So if anybody has any questions in the comments, you guys can go ahead and put them now. But y'all, please, please, please hit CJ with a fave. He definitely filled the high heels. I'm sure they were a little tight. But he definitely filled my shoes very well. I've never let anyone take over the reins, so you did phenomenally. You made me a little nervous. But if anybody definitely is interested on being in the future shows, go ahead and hit me or Strawberry or anybody who you see a juice box in the name. You can hit them up to sign up for the show. I will repost the calendar for anyone who wants to sign up for a future episode. But next week, I will be on a little bit of vacation for a few days, so don't look for me next week, okay? But I do appreciate you for I was excited that my question was I was a little nervous, but you did good. But so yeah, if anybody has a question,
you could have said cowboy boots.
Anything probably would have.
Heels.
I couldn't breathe through most of the show. I think I held my breath. But yeah, if anybody has any more questions, I'm definitely open to answering questions. But of course, as always, normally ladies go first, but I'm going to go ahead and let CJ give his outro. Where can we find you? What do you do for the app? Let us know what you do, what you do, what you do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just playing with y'all. Let me stop playing. I'm CJ, DJ Slab Guy. I DJ occasionally on here. I used to stream consistently, but I've been a little inconsistent. Life is life. But anyways, we're gonna move forward past that. If you need a DJ, just hit me up. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up on here. You got me. If you don't got me, hit up Jen. Jen will contact me. She'll put you in contact with me. So yeah. Other than that, y'all stay positive, stay blessed, and like Papa Juice used to do, stay toting that thing in your front pocket.
And of course, y'all, I am Jen and Juice. I am the host of this show right here, right now. You guys can catch me every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with my co-host, CJ DJ Slap God. Make sure y'all hit him with a fave. But if you don't catch me here at 10 p.m., you guys can also catch me late nights and early mornings. I know I've not been streaming as much as of late, but as you kind of heard tonight, it's, a little bit of a difficult time for me at this present moment, but we'll be back in full swing after vacation, so y'all catch me late nights into early mornings. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play a little Diddy No Diddy so we can end out this recording, Lord. I'm a little scared,
Boop, boop.
Did I just mute it?
She gonna play like 2 seconds of the song.
Literally, if I can get it to play, Lord. Somehow I muted it. Can we play, sir?
So you should send me the song.
I should have. Y'all sound. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go.
Well,
Here we go.
you want to acapella it?
In the red room, stories unwind. Gin and juice got that open mind. Hearts connect at 10:30. Every Saturday once again.